higher or lower based on how we pedal, our pedaling style, right? Because sebab this is the first episode of what is a 3-episode series on how to do a bike fit DIY at home. Now, this DIY bike fit is done purely based on your phone and your camera to record yourself, and of course your own eye to see the angles of where you should roughly be. So in these 3 episodes, we will be going over the 3 contact points on a bicycle, which is the hand, saddle and the feet. And in today's video, we'll be going over the saddle. We'll be looking at how to adjust the saddle height, saddle setback and the saddle tilt, and where is the roughly the correct range that you should be in. So sebelum kita mulakan bike fit, we must make sure that we wear the proper cycling apparel, and always make sure that when we do this DIY bike fit, you sit back in the original position on where you would usually sit. We want to make sure that any changes that we see is actually coming from what we have changed, and bukan sebab kita dah ubah where we are sitting on the saddle or where we are holding the handlebars. So those are the few things that you need to take note before we start the bike fit. Now, to adjust the saddle height, first thing first, we need to get on the bike. So after we have gotten on the bike, push your pedals down to the 6 o'clock position. And in the 6 o'clock position, I want you to put your heels on the pedal. Now automatically you can see that it should be fully locked out. And then when you clip back in, you can see that there is a very natural bend in our legs. Now this is our base measurement. Now we can adjust this higher or lower based on how we pedal, our pedaling style, right? Because I've mentioned before in a previous video that if you are someone who pedals toe down quite a lot, right? Toe down. When you reach the bottom of the pedal stroke, too much of bending here because you are pedaling so toe down. So if you are someone who pedals like this, from the base measurement that we gotten just now, adjust it a few millimeters higher in order to take into account for that pedaling style that you have. But if you are someone like me, flat foot, almost heel down type of pedaling style. So untuk saya, I find that the base measurement just now that we gotten works perfectly for me, right? When I'm at the bottom 6 o'clock position of the pedal stroke, it has the right amount of bend, right? This is the right amount of bend, and of course I can maintain quite a flat foot pedaling style in this position. So lepas kita dah habis set up saddle height, what we will look at next is the saddle setback. And one of the most basic and most traditional way that you see bike fitters do this is that they can drop a straight line from our kneecap over here, right? So when we drop the straight line from our kneecap, you should find that the line, it goes straight down and it should intercept right about where the pedal axle is. So for this measurement, we need to start from a moving foot. But if we start it stationary straight away from the 3 o'clock position, sometimes kaki kita, it will not be in the natural position where we would be if we were to pedal, right? They akan toe down, sometimes heel down. So what you see bike fitters do usually is that they'll ask you to pedal. They'll ask you to pedal first, and then they will slow it down, and then they will freeze frame at the 3 o'clock. And then we know that when we freeze it here at the 3 o'clock, this is your natural foot position on where you would be if you were to pedal, right? So you will see that it intercepts right about where the pedal axle is, or slightly in front of the pedal axle. So this is the most basic and the most traditional way yang bike fitters selalu buat lah when they come to saddle setback. But if you don't have a mouse or a straight line to drop, here's what you can do visually to know that you are in the right place. So when we are in the 3 o'clock position, right, we should see that our calf over here, our leg over here, it should be tilted forward by 1 or 2 degrees. It's kind of sort of similar to running where kaki kita is nampak dia tilted forward, right? It's tilted forward by 1 or 2 degrees. So if you get this tilt forward 1 or 2 degree, then you know you are roughly in the right place. Because again, sebab ni bike fit DIY, we don't have sensors, kita tak ada computer software. So all this is all based on, you know, our visual and our eyes. So inilah salah satu cara yang paling basic, right, that we can do when it comes to DIY bike fit. And you see a lot of basic bike fitters, they will use these sort of techniques as well, especially the ones that don't have the sensors, the computer software, they will use this technique as well. So this is something that you can try at home. Again, Again, this 3-episode series is all about doing a bike fit DIY at home without any fancy equipment. So you can give it a try, see whether or not you are in the right position. And I hope that these basic guidelines will be able to set you up in roughly the right position when it comes to this contact point, this setup, right? So in the upcoming episodes, we'll be looking at the hand and of course the feet. So remember to stay tuned for those episodes coming in the near future.